Well, how are things, everyone? Eamonn here again this morning. So I just want to touch a bit on grass with you again. So I just wait another minute or two here, so give everyone a chance to join us. Okay, so I just start off here now. So as I was saying to you last week, I was going to send out your first continuous assessment. So this is 45% of the module. Okay, so I'll be sending this out to you today, and you have till Thursday then to do it. Okay, so it's going to be sent out on Google Forms. So this is just a Word document, so it's going to look slightly different to this, but the questions are the exact same. So the first one is list and explain 3 reasons why grass and clover are such important feed source on Irish farms. So when you go into Google Forms, so I'll send you a link and you'll be able to do it on your phone. Okay, so you'll just list the first answer, then give a short explanation, so a line or two, and then there will be a space in to list the second answer, and give a line or two, then just your explanation, and then there will be a space then to list the third one and give your explanation. Okay, so just so you know, you can't submit it then until you have an answer in every box. Okay, so look, just do a bit of thinking, and you'll be able to get an answer to fill every box. Okay, and then this just, so that's worth 3 marks, that question. Okay, and then the second question then is briefly describe the Teagasc Grass 10 campaign. So there's going to be a box in to give you a chance to write 2 or 3 lines there as well, just briefly describing the Teagasc Grass campaign, and that's worth a mark. And then list 2 factors which affect the amount of grass grown on farms across the country. So there's going to be a box there then, and then you can list your 2 answers. Okay, so that's worth a mark then as well. So it's just this, the Word document, it's going to look slightly different to this. You'll be able to do it on your phone, so it should be fairly handy. It won't take you 15 to 20 minutes to do, and I'll send that out to you today at some stage, and hopefully I'll give you it into Thursday to do it, so you can once you submit it then, so once you have an answer in every box, you'll be able to submit it, and once you submit it then I'll be able to see your answers. Okay, so there's no printing off, there's no sending anything to me. Okay, so I'll be able to see it then straight away. Okay, so has anyone any questions? Or
what time are you sending that out?
It'll be some stage today, might be there within the next hour or 2, okay? You'll definitely have it by the end of the day, okay? So look, it won't take you 20 minutes to do as I said, and you have it until Thursday, so ideally I want to have them all by Friday, okay? So okay, and just put something into every box. Okay, you can't get an answer for blank spaces, and you won't be able to submit it anyway, leaving it blank. Okay, so it's just important to attempt everything. Okay, so this is what we want to kind of get you doing with every exam. Okay, so just attempt everything. So this is the idea then, that you can't submit it in without having something in every box. Okay, so look, I'll just go back here into the slides. Okay, so where we finished up here the last day. So you can all see these slides here now, can you?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So again, if you have any questions or anything, just don't be afraid to shout away, okay? You can use the chat feature. I get the chat up here as well, just beside me. So I can see it as well. Okay, so look, establishing and maintaining a good grass sward. Okay, so look, would have touched on, I suppose, last day we finished off on reseeding. Okay, so then this is just the next step of how we're going to maintain a good grassland sward. So grass covers. Okay, so is the amount of grass in a sward available for grazing. Okay, so I would have touched on this with a lot of you when we're doing our grass skills as well. So when we are talking about grass cover, we're talking kilograms of dry matter per hectare. Okay, and then how do we manage this then? Okay, so for management purposes, the grazing season can be divided into three distinct categories. Okay, so spring, mid-season, and the autumn. So we have tools then available that help us manage throughout these three distinct grazing seasons. Okay, so and I suppose when we're talking about grass covers, I suppose it's important to know that we're talking about grass measurement as well. Okay, so we're taking our covers in, and where are we inputting these covers in so that we're able to manage our grass? So what's the name of the tool that we use to record our covers? Grasshopper, yeah. So Gavin's saying grasshopper. So grasshopper would be similar to the plate meter. So that's one of the tools that we use to record our grass. Okay, so when we're talking, yeah. So first of all, we're talking about measuring our grass. So the tools that we use to record them physically are our grasshopper. So that's similar then to the plate meter. Okay, so we would have done Dimitri as well. Yeah. So Colin's put that in there as well. Very good. And then we have our quadrants and shears. So that's what we're using then to measure our grass physically. Okay. And then what are we doing with this information after then? So say we have our grass walk done. We have all our covers for the listed paddocks. So what are we going to do with this information then? Anyone have any ideas? So when we're recording our grass covers, or we're finished our grass walk or whatever, and we have all our covers, so we input these figures into PastureBase. So this is a platform on the computer. We can also use it on our phone. Okay, so this just is a tool for recording all our grass walks. So then we can look at all our grass walks throughout the year, and then we are able to make management decisions. Okay, as well based on these off PastureBase. Okay, so PastureBase is a tool which was created by Teagasc to help farmers just to manage their grass. Okay, so and then we can use tools within PastureBase. Okay, for the three distinct categories. So for spring, for mid-season, for the autumn. Okay, so next slide here. So these are just examples of the three tools, okay, on PastureBase, okay? So, look, first of all, this one here down the bottom left is what we call the spring rotation planner, okay? So, the idea is the spring rotation planner on PastureBase is that we're grazing our first rotation, okay? So, when do we say we're trying to get the cows out here, ideally during the spring? So,
Middle of February.
yeah, so we've targeted them for the first week of February, okay? And then, so for the spring rotation planner, it's for the first rotation. So when are we going to finish our first rotation then? Does anyone have any ideas?
June.
A bit earlier than that?
April.
April, yeah, very good, excellent, yeah. So we're going to our first rotation is whenever we get the cows out to first week in April. Okay, so the idea then of the spring rotation planner, okay, is to graze 100% of our area. So whether that be our dry stock farm or whether that be our dairy farm, we want to graze 100% of our area within that first rotation. Okay, so we want to get the grass that was growing over the winter grazed, so then that new grass then starts growing. Okay, so the idea of that then is that we're developing a grass wedge for the second rotation for midsummer management. Okay, so you can just see it here. This is the spring rotation planner that we use here in the college down the bottom left for 2020. Okay, so you can see that we actually got the cows out here across the bottom. So across the x-axis here across the bottom. So that's going to be the 7th of February is when we started grazing. Okay, and then the red line here going up is the target area grazed. Okay. And then the green line here is what we actually grazed with the college. You can see that we're very close to the target line throughout the first rotation as well. And then the blue line in is your actual farm cover. Okay, so I suppose there's a few targets within the spring rotation planner as well that makes it easier for farmers to manage. Okay, so first of all, the first one I suppose is that we want 30% of the farm grazed ideally. Okay, it's very important when you're putting cows out, you're putting animals out in the spring that you're flexible as well. Okay, so we're flexible in terms of because of the weather conditions can be bad. Okay, but so the target, the first target is that we have 30% grazed by the 1st of March. So we want 30% of the farm grazed in the month of February. Okay, next target then is that we want 60% of the farm grazed by Paddy's Day, and then we want 100% of the farm grazed by the first week in April. Okay, so they're just some of the targets. But then again, sometimes weather conditions can be poor, so you might have less percentage of it grazed. Okay, so you just have to be flexible in terms of when you're managing grass in the spring. Okay, so I suppose the idea of the spring rotation planner and why it's used is that you're setting yourself up for the second rotation and mid-season management onwards, so that you're ensuring that you have enough grass from the 1st of April onwards. Okay, so you're not grazing too much too soon or too much too late. Okay. So the second tool then that we use, the mid-season management, okay, sorry, wrong way, is what we call a grass wedge. Okay, so this is so when we're putting in our covers, okay, so we're going around, we're measuring with the grass hopper, the plate meter, or the quadrant shears. Okay, so we're getting our covers, we're recording them down maybe in a notepad, or we're entering them directly into pasture base off the phone. Okay, so this is what we're creating here up the top. Okay, so a grass wedge. So this is what we call a grass wedge. So this is last week's grass wedge here from the college. Okay, so so these are all our paddocks here along the bottom. So you can see just the third one in here is paddock 16A, the fourth one in is paddock 1A, and then up the left hand side in is our covers. Okay, so you can see kilograms of dry matter per hectare. So you can see, just take the first one here. So is it paddock 57, and then we're going to say that there's a cover of over 2,000 on it. So maybe 2,100. Okay, so so this is what we're generating. Okay, when we're going around recording our covers. Okay, so why is this important, or what can we do then with this information? Okay, so say for example in the summer there now, so say if we have surplus amount of grass from looking at this, so what are some of the things we can do if we have surplus grass?
Bales.
Bales, yeah, exactly, yeah. We take out surplus bales, and then in terms of maybe where growth is slower, what can we do?
Feed bales.
Yeah, so we can increase concentrates maybe in the parlour first, and then where drought conditions get really bad, we can start supplementing with silage as well. Okay, so you can see this red line going down across it here. Okay, is what we call our demand line. Okay, so our demand line starts at our ideal target height for grazing. So what do we say that was again? So what do we want the cows going into?
Around 1350.
Exactly, yeah, spot on, very good. So between 1300 and 1600, okay, so the one here for the college is set up at 1350, so that's why the demand line is starting here, okay, and then it's going to be going down then to zero, okay. So when we have grass over this demand line, so we know that we're in a surplus of grass, okay? And then, say for argument's sake, during the summer, a lot of our paddocks, and in drought conditions, we wouldn't be touching that red line, okay? So that's when we know we're in a deficit, okay? So here we can see that we have lots of surplus grass here on the farm, okay? So why do we have surplus grass here now? So this was taken. So this is last week's wage. So we have lots of grasses. So what was the idea of building covers or?
To extend the grazing period.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you had a grass wedge like this during the summer, you'd say that there's probably something you're very lowly stocked, or there might be something like that. Okay, but in this scenario, when we're at the end of September, you said that we're in a good situation here. Okay, because we're trying to build covers, so we're trying to extend the grazing season out then until the end of November. Okay. And then just below here, then in the bottom right, so this is the final tool then we have on pasture bed. So first one is the spring rotation planner, the second one is the grass wedge, and then the third one here down the bottom is the 60-40 planner, okay? So this is a tool then that we use. Again, I would have touched a bit on this with you last week. So this is what we use to extend the grazing season, okay? So the idea of it is to have 60% of the farm grazed and closed by the end of October, and then you're going to graze the following 40% over November, okay? So so just looking at this one, so this is the one we have for the college, okay? So you can see here that we're going to have, so you can see, look, there's only a target area grazed at the moment, okay? So this is the target area graze, okay? So we've no actual area graze, okay? Because we haven't started, we haven't started inputting figures yet for this, okay? So we closed a few paddocks there last week down in Shannon Grove, okay? So they'll be the first ones put in, and then they'll create a bit of the area, okay? So we'll have a green pattern or a green line down here then, and then we're going to be targeting. So look, you just see here the 4th of the 11th, so that's going to be the 4th of November. So we're going to target to have 75% of the farm closed within the first week of November, okay? So I suppose it's just important. So I suppose one of the most important steps in your when you're closing paddocks, okay, is that you're setting yourself up for the spring, okay, so that you want to have you want to have enough grass to get your cows out early in the spring, okay. So this is why it's important that now that we've started closing a few of the paddocks down in Shannon Grove, okay, that we're not going to go into these paddocks again, okay. So that's just important. So even if the weather conditions were very favorable over the next 6 weeks or 2 months, and even if there is a nice bit of cover on that grass, we're not going to go into it here because we want it for the spring, okay. This is important, I suppose, because we have lots of cows calving, I suppose, in the first week in February. So we want to be able to get them out as well. So we want to have an adequate supply of grass. Okay, so has anyone any questions there, or is that your first time seeing a lot of them tools before? Okay, so just moving on there. So maintaining a good grass sward. Okay, so spring turn out early February to the end of the first rotation. Okay, so again, this is what we use the spring rotation planner for. Okay, so the aim of this period is to maximize the amount of grass being used on the farm. Okay, so just in terms of beef and sheep farms, okay, some of the important points for spring grazing is matching turnout dates and grass covers is vital as important as the farm are not set up to easily move cattle in and out. Okay, so I suppose this is just when you have beef and sheep cattle, I suppose when they're out, they're out. Whereas in a dairy farm, okay, cows are coming in every day, twice a day. So it's probably easier to kind of use on-off grazing there as well with dairy cows, okay. But so this is why it's important to match turnout dates and grass covers in terms of beef and sheep farms. Okay, so cattle should be offered a daily grass allowance. Okay, so they're getting a new fresh bit of grass every day. Okay, so this is important for in terms of animal performance. Okay, graze silage ground by the first week of April. Okay, so ideally where ground conditions low, you graze silage ground the first week of April. I suppose this is important in so that you're getting good quality first cut of silage as well. So you're getting the grass that was growing over the winter off it, and then you're getting new grass coming, okay? So you're getting a higher quality silage cut in off it, okay? And then just in terms of sheep farms, so early to mid-March lambing flocks, so I should aim for an opening cover of 600 to 700 kilograms of dry matter per hectare, okay? So that's just your target opening cover, okay? So that you have a good supply of grass there for your sheep, your lambs, okay? So dairy farms, so in the first rotation, the average daily allowance of grass should be 13 to 15 kilos, okay? So it's going to start down and even around maybe the 10 kilograms, so they're getting 10 kilograms of grass, okay, when they first go out. I suppose because their intakes, so what do we say cows eat during the summer? So what do we put them down as? So when we're allocating grass, or has anyone any ideas? How many kilograms? So for full intake. Yeah, so I suppose just in terms of full intake, we talk about cows being able to eat 18 kilos. Okay, so when they're freshly calved, they won't be able to eat this amount. Okay, so they're going to have lower intake capacities. So you're going to be offering them less amount of grass there in the spring. Okay, so starting off around their 10, and then you're increasing it gradually as they're able to eat it. Okay, so I suppose then in terms of when you're grazing. When you're letting them out first as well, it's important to leave them into lower covers. So you're leaving them into covers of 700 or 800. Okay, so this is important. As well for beef cattle as well. So beef cows that are after calving, so that you're getting them back adjusted to the grass diet. Okay, so they would have been eating I suppose silage all over the dry period. Okay, and it's just important then that you're letting them into lower covers, so you're easing that transition. And I suppose that's helping you as well to graze more area. Okay, but I suppose it's just important from a cow point of view as well that you're not leaving them into high covers of over 15 or 1600 straight away, because they won't be able to kind of eat it. Okay, so you should be supplemented in as well with 2 to 4 kilos of meal, and then so your post grazing should be maintained at 3.5 to 4 centimeters during the first rotation. So this will ensure good utilization and high quality in your following subsequent rotations. Okay, so post grazing in the spring, I suppose, is slightly tighter during the summer. Okay, so you're grazing to 3.5 centimeters rather than your 4. So this is just, I suppose, to encourage light to get to the base of the sward, to encourage tillering. So you're just doing as much as possible to set yourself up for the subsequent rotations. Okay, so just in terms of the spring again. Okay, so these are just some visuals. Okay, so just say when we're strip grazing the paddock. Okay, so you see the first one here on the left. Okay, you can see that we've this paddock broken down into four grazings. Okay, so we're going to have day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4. Okay, so you're giving the cows the first part of the paddock for the first day, then you're giving them. Then you could be putting up your back fence then across the top of the first day's grazing. Okay, so you're leaving that, so you're protecting your paddock where they were on the first day, and then they're going into the second part, and then you're moving up your back fence as well onto the bottom of the third day's grazing. Okay, and then you're leaving them up to the second and top of the paddock on the fourth day. Okay, so you can just see here, this is the middle photo here. So this is what we call a spur roadway as well. So I would have touched, I think, on this with you as well in a previous lecture. So just for this example then, so say your day 1, you put up a spur roadway up the right hand side of this paddock. Okay, so the cows can walk up and down and get access here. Okay, so it's just a temporary roadway. So I suppose you're protecting your regrowth and you're protecting your grass from excess damage there in the spring. Okay, so you're giving it a chance to grow, and you're limiting the amount of poaching. Okay, so that's just strip grazing, I suppose. Then this is just another way, I suppose, of dividing a paddock. Okay, so day 1, day 2, and day 3, so you're going at more of an angle. So why would you go just say for argument's sake here with the spokes of the wheel? Would anyone have any ideas? Or
Maybe if you only one water truck in the field.
Exactly. So good man. So you only have one water truck here in this field. So we can say it's at the bottom right. So you want to have your cows access to water. Okay. When they're out grazing. So so then you're going to split the paddock into 3. So you're going up there with your, I suppose, just the third photo here. So you're going to have your temporary reels and your pigtails. So you're going to be putting them up here and dividing into 3. And then they have access to water as well for each grazing. Okay. And then your block grazing. Okay. So you're dividing up to 4 again, but it's splitting up into 4 even groups. I suppose then it's very similar to the last point as well. So just in this paddock, the water truck might be in the middle of the paddock, so that's why you split it up into 4. Okay. I suppose just in terms of here, why did I put in this photo? I suppose you can't have enough, I suppose, of temporary wires and fences for spring grazing. You can't have enough pigtails as well. Okay. You can protect your grass, so you're limited amount of damage done to swards, and you're ensuring good regrowth for the second rotation. Okay. And these are relatively cheap as well. Okay, so you can do a lot of good work with these. Okay. So I think I've just gone over the time there now. So has anyone any questions, or are you all okay?
Say for the strip grazing there,
Yeah.
what would you be, say in some cases, would you be better off dividing 3 and then say the last day give them the run of the test? Like,
Yeah.
say give them 2 grazings and then give them the last of the one.
Give them the whole thing for the last grazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose what you're trying to do is you're trying to limit the amount of damage done to the sward. Okay. So just for that, in that scenario, I suppose if you are dividing up into So you're protecting it for the first 3, and then you're giving them the run of the paddock for the last grazing. I suppose if weather conditions were okay, you could do that, but I suppose you're kind of you're contradicting yourself really with putting up the back fence the other 2 days if you're going to give them the run of the place for the final day. Do you know?
No, I'm saying not to put the back fence up at all. So.
Yeah. So it just in terms of suppose you have to be, I suppose, flexible with the weather conditions as well. Okay, so and if you're on drier ground, there mightn't be any need for a back fence. Okay, but where weather conditions are poor, and that there is kind of a bit of poaching going on, you would definitely be better off with a back fence. Okay, and I suppose it's just really for that first rotation there in the spring. You know, when weather conditions are a bit less favourable, and then you're removing the back fence altogether then during the summer. Okay, so you're leaving your paddock, so you have the paddock set up for 36-hour grazing, so you're leaving your cows in for 3 grazing straight, and then there's no need to be putting up fences or anything, so you're limiting your amount of work there then. You know, if that answers your question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, you're just trying to limit the amount of damage done to your swards there in the spring. Okay, so that's the idea then of the back fences. I know it's probably a bit more work, but where you're doing a lot of damage in the spring, you're going to have less grass growth in your subsequent rotations. Okay, so that's just why it's vital to do as much as possible to protect your swards in the spring. Okay, so that would be the idea of the back fence. And then you can remove that back fence in during the summer. So you're just you can remove the strip grazing altogether during the summer if you have ideally 36-hour blocks or 24-hour blocks. So you're just leaving them into the paddock for that time then. Okay. So has anyone else have any questions or? Okay, so I'll send that out to you there later on. That first continuous assessment. So it's just based on chapter 1. Okay, so I send out the slides as well to you as well. So I'm going to send out the slides in chapter 1 and the slides in chapter 2. And this continuous assessment is just on chapter 1. So you can have a look at them slides, and you also have the book as well. Okay, so look, if anyone has any questions anyway or has any issues with the continuous assessment, don't be afraid to give me an email. Okay.
So.
All right. Thanks, everyone.